forensic scientist who worked on multiple high-profile cases like Kobe Bryant's sexual assault investigation could be forcing thousands of retrials. Colorado investigators say some of Yvonne Wood's DNA analysis over nearly 3 decades may have included altered data. You may remember Kobe's case was dropped back in 2004, and Wood's work led to the conviction of Alex Ewing. Remember that? The so-called hammer killer for murdering 4 people in 1984 in Colorado.
I don't remember the hammer killer, but I'm certainly familiar with him now because there are some questions about whether the DNA evidence used to convict him is DNA evidence that had some missing, let's just say missing details or some faulty elements to it that could potentially lead to a retrial or the case being thrown out. Like, I don't know for sure how it's gonna play out, and to be sure, this is a developing story. It's been developing for several months now, but I do want to give you the details about this DNA scandal in Colorado that will threaten to throw out possibly thousands of criminal convictions in the state. Now, the scandal revolves around a forensic scientist by the name of Yvonne "Missy" Woods. Now, she tested DNA evidence in Colorado's worst criminal cases for nearly 3 decades. And her work was also considered the gold standard by colleagues and put away literally thousands of violent criminals. But suddenly she resigned late last year, last November to be exact, and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation said that it had found what it referred to as anomalies in her work during an internal review. Now, the CBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, is launching a criminal investigation into Woods. Now, the unfolding scandal is throwing Colorado's criminal justice system into chaos. The state said it would need to review and retest approximately 3,000 DNA samples that Woods handled. Public defenders estimate thousands of cases could be affected. Now, in November, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation notified prosecutors that DNA testing conducted by Woods in one specific case was in fact missing data. And I think this is what sparked the whole scandal, or at least knowledge of the scandal, and what led to her sudden resignation in November.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
Now, what did the case have to do with? It had to do with a suspect by the name of Garrett Coughlin, who stands accused of killing 3 people. Now, his trial is set for April, and this likely spurred the investigation into Woods and the way that she conducts her work. In a December 5th email to district attorneys across the state, the lab director of the Colorado Bureau of Investigation said Woods had, in some cases, altered data and in others, analyzed samples several times, but reported only one result. So they thought that that was a problem. And so I'm gonna pause for a second and just give us all time, give us some time to actually absorb how disastrous this could be. So they're thinking about retesting as many as 3,000 criminal convictions, meaning that if this is in fact the kind of scandal that it appears to be, there could be who knows how many people who were wrongfully convicted based on faulty DNA evidence. There are people who might have even not been convicted because of faulty DNA evidence. That we don't know, because they're gonna retest people who fall under the 3,000 criminal convictions. But it would be disastrous if even a small percentage of those people were wrongfully convicted using faulty DNA testing that was conducted by Woods. Now, we don't know what the results are gonna be. What we do know is that her behavior is costing the taxpayers in Colorado. State lawmakers recently allocated nearly $7.5 million for possible retrials and case reviews, along with the retesting. And as of December 5th of last year, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, they had already begun testing or retesting some of the DNA evidence in these cases. And as of of December 5th of last year. Luckily, they did not find any evidence of her DNA test to be inaccurate, but they had only scratched the surface. There's still, 90% of the cases that they have to look into to make sure that there weren't any inaccuracies or mistakes made. But she is also, on top of all of this, facing a federal suit related to her work on a case that put a man by the name of James Hunter behind bars. Now, Hunter was arrested back in 2002 after a woman and her 5-year-old daughter were sexually assaulted by a man who had a sock over his face. Now, the victim said that the perpetrator sounded like Hunter. They accused Hunter of being the perpetrator. And according to the Wall Street Journal, Woods conducted a microscopic hair comparison that said she placed Hunter at the scene of the crime, according to the suit. But at the request of defense attorneys, hairs were then tested by an outside lab, which determined they belonged to the victim. When the error was revealed, Woods told the judge that it was a blow to her ego, according to the suit. The case was dismissed. Yeah, maybe that wasn't the right reaction. I mean, shouldn't the appropriate reaction to the independent test showing that Woods was wrong, shouldn't it be remorse? Shouldn't she be apologetic? I mean, faulty DNA testing could have put an innocent man in prison, right? Now, the case didn't end there. The DNA testing didn't end there. So then 10 months later, detectives said that they had located another hair. Woods tested it and found it contained DNA from Hunter. He was arrested again and eventually convicted of sexual assault and burglary. He is still in prison today. I need to understand why the same woman who got it wrong in the same case the first time was asked to test the DNA evidence again the second time. What? But Ryan Brackley, the lawyer representing Woods, says that she is cooperating with the investigation, to her credit. He says that she continues to stand by the reliability and integrity of her work on matters that were filed in court, and particularly in cases in which she testified in court under oath. And the problems with DNA evidence in Colorado might even go beyond Woods herself, which is even more concerning. Issues, according to the Wall Street Journal, are popping up elsewhere in the state. On March 1st, the sheriff's office in Weld County, Colorado, said it fired a veteran DNA analyst and will pursue criminal charges against her after anomalies in her work were discovered during the Woods investigation. And I think one of the bigger takeaways from all of this is, I think a lot of people have in their minds, including myself for a long time, I just felt that DNA evidence is the end all be all. But there's definitely room for error when it comes to DNA evidence. It isn't the end all be all. And I am worried that, this is going to be a chaotic, costly, an awful process for the criminal justice system in Colorado, but more importantly, an awful situation for anyone who might have been wrongfully convicted of a crime that they did not commit over the last 30 years. Remember, she's in Colorado doing the DNA testing in criminal cases for nearly 3 decades. So I want to stay on this story and find out how it develops, but it is potentially devastating, and I'm glad that the anomalies were caught. We'll fill you in as we learn more details about the investigation, but it isn't looking so great right now.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.